Welcome to Motivations. I'm your host, Jai Sugram, and with me today is Kathleen Tucka, aka the Sunny Life Coach. Kathleen, welcome to the program.
Oh, thank you for having me.
So what I understand about you, Kathleen, is that you have 20 years of experience in business, and you use some of what you've learned in business, some of those organized structures and formal ways of thinking, to help people get from point A to point B, whether that's in their business as entrepreneurs or if they're going through a transition and a midlife crisis. Can you tell us what sparked that desire to transition from business to helping people?
Well, my career, during the time in my career, I enjoyed what I did and how I did it, and the aspects of working with my teams, bringing together the resources, coaching them to achieve the goals that they wanted to. But not everything in the corporate world is as much fun as it could be. So at some point, you just need to separate what's fun and what's not, and what's a viable path to go forward. So I took the best of what I liked, which was the coaching piece, and started my own private practice, Sunny Life Coach.
So it sounds like, so what aspects of the business have influenced the way you guide people, your business mind? Because to me, when I think life coach, I think there's some people that are really serious and organized and solution focused. And then there's like this new agey vibe to some of it that doesn't seem like it's as solution oriented as your mind is functioning coming from business. So do you lay out a clear outcome, look for signposts of success, and then how do you know when the experience is sealed? Like, how has business influenced the process for you and your client?
Well, in the corporate world, I was always held accountable for my results.
Okay.
My financial results, my human resource results, my operational results, we were held tightly to a standard. So, and in doing so, we also had what we'd call SMART plans, where specific, measurable action, results, and timing. So I take that into my private practice, what I call to clarify, create, and achieve. So the first step is to clarify, make clear, have the client be clear on what they're looking to achieve.
Is that written down or a verbal agreement?
Both. They need to visualize it. They need to get a clear picture in their head, what I call the prize. Where do they want it to be? And then the next step is, once they're clear on what they want, then we start creating the plan. And as we're creating the plan, we keep taking a look at, okay, this is a path that we want to take, but is this truly going to take us to the end result? And if not, we keep tweaking it along the way until we get them to their end result. And then to achieve the goal. So the focus is clarify, create, and achieve.
And do you guys fix a certain number of sessions that would create success, or is it a continuous process that they stay with you, or?
Well, I keep it very flexible. I do a lot of online coaching, and I keep it flexible as far as I offer 1, 3, or 6 session packages. So most of the time, people will start with 6 sessions.
Okay.
And it's
up. 6 is enough to create some success.
To create some success.
Okay.
I don't want to lock them into months of coaching, because it's not good for anybody.
Right.
Or it can be, but not in this situation. Yeah. So they can always renew after that. They can book more sessions. They can do what they want. But at the end of 6 sessions, they should see some tangible results.
Okay. Now, with entrepreneurs, what are some unique challenges facing someone who takes on that courageous task of, you said to me that these people have a natural talent, they have their gifts, and they're great at that. What are the things that you add to people forging their own way in the entrepreneurial world?
Well, I help them to forge structure.
Okay.
Okay, they need to make sure they have a clear name, make sure that nobody else is using it. They need to set up their LLC. They need to set up how they're going to get paid for their services. They need to set up their social media. They need to figure out what their target market is. They need to figure out what their niche is going to be, what they can do with what they have. But rather than, say, you have a chef who is going to open a restaurant, but they don't have any of the business, those are the kinds of things. Or, we can be, there was a coach that I was working with who wanted to set up and didn't have the business, just had that more of the new age kind of thing. So I've worked with different people in order to get them a little more grounded, get them on a solid path to get the business set up.
So you add the formal structures around it, the even the tech side and the social media.
Right. Although I'm not an expert on all those things, I know what needs to be done, and I can guide them. Right.
Okay. So with the entrepreneurs, it sounds like it would be more of a continuous and a flow back and forth to guide them.
Correct.
Yeah.
So as we get the initial setup, and then we would move from there and let them make some more progress, and then we would regroup and see what the next steps are, and we would just keep regrouping and going from there.
Mm-hmm. So when you work with a person that's going through, that sounds like a meeting of strength and weakness. Like, you don't interfere with their strength, but you shore up their weaknesses, right? And
correct.
That's like an enzymatic perfect fit. It's a lock and key. Now, I understand you also work with folks who are going through a midlife crisis, and that involves sort of like inspiring, speaking to the emotional side of them, sort of building them back up, because that time can be characterized by a depression, a lack of interest in what you were once passionate about. What's that work like, and how does it differ from your other clients?
Well, in that, sometimes, when people reach a certain age, everything that they had thought earlier in life kind of changes and tweaks on its own. And then they wake up one day and wonder where they got to where they are, and it doesn't resemble where they thought their life would be.
Uh-huh.
So we take a step back, we break it down and figure out, okay, exactly where do they want to be? What in their life, because you don't want to throw everything out. Obviously, they've worked hard for where they're at. So you have to figure out exactly what in their life do they like? What works for them and what doesn't work. And then sometimes you have to look at the financial piece. Okay, they've built a career. They need to have that stability. They have families to support. Mm-hmm. So some people we've worked with to find out, okay, what's not fulfilling you? What piece do you need? And we can either make it as part of a career change, or we can make it as part of an avocation where they can fulfill themselves in some ways, mm-hmm. without throwing out everything that they have. So then they can start enjoying life a little more.
So you're trying to really get that person to first answer what is their deepest desire at this time, and without throwing out a great career and a financial stability, step one foot here, but try to move on to another place that's more aligned with their passion, their interests, things that'll give them joy. That sounds like a really testy process, especially maybe if you're the spouse to a person going through all this change. I'm sure it's...
Well, I've also do couples coaching too, because you do need to be on...
That's tough. Like, changes can be tough on the partner.
Right. Yeah. So in the couples coaching that I've done, we come together and figure out what the goals are individually, mm-hmm. as well as how they can be achieved jointly together. Mm-hmm. Because sometimes maybe somebody in a midlife crisis truly sees that that career is not going to go, it's stable right now, but maybe they have a 3 to 5 year period or a couple year period, and maybe they want to start transitioning. So maybe now's the time, if they want to be an entrepreneur, start something, a side gig, and get that going, so they can smoothly transition.
Yeah, or take some courses that support or shore up that interest.
So that's where we go. And then with the couples coaching, that's where we bring both partners together and see if they're on board together. Okay.
So can you share a little bit about some of the technique-oriented things? I understand visualization is a big part of people putting in the work. They mm-hmm. have to sort of see it. And, in my practice, I use meditation and exercise. What are some actual modalities that you get people to walk through so that this process becomes real to them while they're in it?
Okay, well, I try and keep things as simple as possible. Okay. I want them to just close their eyes, take a deep breath, visualize exactly where they want to be. What does that look like to them? What's the picture? I call that the prize. Mm-hmm. And so as they're moving forward in this, I keep telling them, keep their eye on the prize. So when they're looking at down the road, this is where I want, but they're over here, that visualization will help them to say, okay, if I make a choice now to go left or to go right, which is going to take me closer to that prize that I want. So part of it is the mindfulness of knowing that they have a clear view of where they're going.
Yeah, and on the path, so success is, it sounds like, is defined in the beginning, and you both are in agreement with that, right? Mm-hmm. And are there signposts along the way that you're on track? Because sometimes when you have an objective and you're in a process, it's easy to get sidetracked or discover something else on the way. How do you keep it online to where they're going?
Well, process mapping.
Okay.
Which, simply put, is just connecting the dots.
So is that written, or how do you guys do that?
Well, that is part of how the plan is going, the steps that they have. And as I'm coaching them and asking them, because all clients have the answers within themselves. So
Right.
it's my coaching techniques that help them to discover exactly what it is that they want. So as they're talking, in my mind, I'm constantly doing the process mapping of connecting the dots to make sure that they're on the right path. I've also had clients in the beginning who said, this is where I want to be. I'm very clear on this. And as we're going through the process, they're going, no, you know what? It was like somebody else's dream that was forced on them or something. And then they started breaking down and go, no, that's not what I want. And then we regroup and figure out exactly what they want.
Right.
So, but it's part of a process, an evolution of like an onion. Just keep peeling it back until we get to where they want to be.
Yeah, that's interesting that you said the answers are within, and it's like peeling back the onion. I find that the way we approach our business, or the business of expressing our deepest desires out to the world, it is a sort of spiritual process and a process of self-development. And a lot of us have limiting beliefs around money, earning money, and even stating what we're worth. And I tell people, like, it's just like anything that you want to be excellent at. It's a tool to refine yourself and bring out what's already. There's a goodness inside of us. There's infinite potential inside of us. Is there a spiritual component to what you're doing, or do you allow people in the process to just find that on their own?
As far as a structured spiritual component, I would say no, but that's all part of a more casual, relaxed spiritual component, because when you're looking within to find your answers, that's spiritual on its own. And as they evolve from you and you start learning more about yourself and what you like, there's a whole spiritual realm there, but it's not necessarily a structured spiritual,
practice.
Right.
It's not embedded in your practice.
Right. There's no specific name for, it's not a
But would
particular
you agree,
religion or whatever.
Isn't like going deep on any one thing a bit of a spiritual experience, whether it's a goal to run a marathon or get your business together, anything that you really focus on, you find a reserve inside that pulls you through the tough parts, right?
I absolutely agree with you. And the one thing I respect as a coach is that you, as a client, are the master of your own destiny, that you're the one who knows best about your life. But you just need help sometimes to bring it out. But you're the one who will ultimately be living your life and be happy with your life and enjoy your life. So I have to honor what you feel inside and help bring that out.
It's interesting that you do a big portion of your work online, and I'm curious, this is an excellent way, without flying all over the country, to reach so many people. Does it still feel personal even though you're over the computer? And how do you make that sort of visceral, inspiring connection to your clients through the digital platform?
It is still very personal because it's their time. We're talking, they're talking, I'm talking, we're listening to each other. We have feedback that will allow them to know that they're being listened to. A lot of my clients like the online platform because it's convenient for them too. That they don't have to go somewhere and sit in somebody's office. They can pick up the phone and have their session. So it is a very personal situation, a very personal experience.
So Kathleen, sometimes people have an overwhelming fear of failure and they're just bogged down mentally. How do you get a client past that point and that fear of failure and that idea that they're a failure?
Well, I honestly don't believe that they are failures, and they just need help in seeing it. They need to break down what they've accomplished so far, because it seems like the one negative thing they didn't accomplish overshadows all the hundreds of things they have accomplished. So if I start getting them to list, what did you do, even if it's the
Right.
smallest thing, then they start saying, oh, well, yeah, I did do that, or I did do, yeah, that's, so, okay, there's this one thing we have to work
Yeah.
through. But look at what you've done, and it turns the whole situation around.
Yeah, one of my friends got me to write out like a personal life highlight reel. And he's like, keep this on your computer. And whenever you feel down, look at all you've done rather than what you would like to do. And it shifts my frame into like, congratulating myself or giving myself a pat on the back. And like my mood alters from just reading this list.
Right, because people focus on the negative versus
Yeah.
the positive.
Yeah. So for viewers at home, Kathleen, can you just maybe share a little technique or one of your visualizations? How can someone start their day in a positive? What can we do in the morning to light up the rest of the day?
Well, what I would do is, one, you want to have fun and enjoy your life, because too many people get caught up in, I have to achieve a goal, and they kind of beat themselves up. So first you need to relax and have fun. You visualize in the morning, just clear your head, visualize, take a deep breath, visualize what you want. What I call keep your eye on the prizes. Just look at what it is that you want and how you want to achieve it. If it's a meeting you want to ace, if it's a interview, if it's some accomplishment you want that day, make it clear in your mind, and then as you go through your day, what you would need to do is just keep looking at the decisions or the choices that you make during the day in order to get to where you want to be. And it keeps it as light and happy as you can, because I just want people to be more uplifted.
Kathleen, thank you so much for your practical wisdom and that nice nugget where people can start their day off with a simple technique. Where can people find out more about your work and how to get in touch with you?
Okay, my website is sunnylifecoach.com. My Facebook page is Kathleen Tucka, Sunny Life Coach. My Instagram page is Kathleen Tucka. And anybody who mentions the Motivation Show will get a free coaching session.
Super. You heard it from Kathleen Tucka here. Thank you so much, you guys. Stay tuned for more on Motivations.
Be sure to tune in and watch our inspirational talk show featuring interviews of exceptional individuals who bring forth informative techniques to help better our lives. Like and follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Watch episodes and exclusive clips on our YouTube channel. Make sure to subscribe now.